sharing the screen as well. Okay. Okay, so this is my cloud portal. So whatever settings I want to do, whatever authentication and authorizations I need to provide, I need to first start from here. Okay, so on the left side, you have home, orchestrator, studio, actions, and apps. So all these are different types of apps, if you ask me, but there are more like orchestrator, studio, actions, process, integration, data service, automation, ops, admin. We may not have access to everything, but let's go with admin. By default, when you register, we will have default tenant as predefined activity or predefined item that we can use. And there is only one tenant that we can add in the community version, but in the enterprise version, we can have multiple multiple orchestrators. So let's start with the nodes as well. 17th June. So we don't have recording updated here, but you can, if you are having the link, you can just ping me. I will update it. So today the time is 20th, right? 22. Okay. So with orchestrator. So the first question can come in something like this: which version of orchestrator have you used? So which version of orchestrator? So what is the answer? Can anyone tell me what can be the answer in the interview? Come on, go ahead and give a number. At least I need a number.
21 version.
20?
2021 version.
Okay. Now version 2021. Okay. Any more versions? So
2022 4.1.
2022 4.1. Okay. So can you tell me how these versions, how are we getting these versions?
In the help center, it is showing the version.
So if you are telling that you have 3 years of experience, how many versions of orchestrator you must have used from now? If it is 2022, then what are the previous versions you have used?
It will come under.
Okay, so let's go back. Let's not waste time. Okay, UiPath docs orchestrator. So okay, so UiPath Docs Orchestrator, these versions are going to help us. Okay, now every year UiPath releases a new version of Orchestrator. Okay, now in the same way, UiPath actually released this year Orchestrator, that is the stable version, that is 2022.4. Okay, so can you tell me when do we have major releases of UiPath? Like if you are asked a question like tell me all the versions that you have used to work on UiPath Studio and Orchestrator, what can be the answer?
October,
Sorry,
October,
I didn't get you. Your voice is low.
October,
Okay, so UiPath releases two cycles. Like every month, it will release a minor cycle, minor version, but every major release will be on 4th and 10th months. Like every 6 months, it will have a major release. So the first major release will be in the month of April, and the next major release will be in the month of October. Okay, so every time you see a version, it will be something like, see here, 2019. For this complete year, we have only one version released, but from 2020 onwards, 2020.4, 2020.10, 2020, 2021.4. Let's see, 2021.4, 2021.10. Now we have, since the March release is completed, 2021 point, sorry, 2022.4. So if you have seen 10th versions or releases that are in October will be maintained for around 3 years. Okay, so if you are checking with 2022.10, then 2019 version may be deprecated. So whatever you are seeing in the current version of Orchestrator, so a few items like this service or modern activities or modern folders are not available before 2019. So after 2019 only we have modern folders. So such kind of things will be deprecated from the next releases. So as soon as the upgrades happen, whatever are not being used will be deprecated. Okay, and here you go. Home. Let's see with Orchestrator API guide not required. Okay, now a 3 years experienced person. Okay, so if you are a 3 years experienced person, then you should start saying that I worked from 2019. The reason being, if you are saying that 2021 you've started working, then what about the previous years that you have worked? Okay, so that is the reason you need to say I've started working in 2019. So 2019, 2020, and 2021. So these 3 years I worked. And in enterprise, it takes minimum in any enterprise it takes minimum 3 to 4 months to upgrade to a new version of Orchestrator. The main reason being the previous version of Orchestrator might be newly installed, and for now there is no need to upgrade the license. Okay, so just to make it clear, so if I installed UiPath Orchestrator in my machine now, as an organization standpoint, I will not do it for next 1 year or at least 6 months. So if you are saying that you worked for 3 years, just go back and check what are the 3 years from here and pick up the last but one three years, 2021.10, 2020.10, 2019. So this is what you need to answer. Okay, if you're saying 2 years, then just go with 2021.10 and 2020.10. Okay, these are the releases that you can see. So what is a release? Okay, so a release is an upgradation of existing service, adding new services and removing unused services. Okay, so these are like for every 6 months we will see what are the best used items and we will release them, or UiPath will release them. Now if you want to get in details of what exactly things are and how exactly you need to check, you need to go with orchestrator guide. So this is 2022.10. If you want to change the version, you can change. Like with this version, what is the document available? So all the release notes will be available here. Like every month, we will have a release. Okay, there are around 5 releases till now. Okay, now here in this month, let's go with 2022.4. Okay, so how many types of orchestrator will you have? How many types of orchestrator will you have? Please answer that in the chat. How many types of orchestrators? Okay, what are there? What are the two? Dinesh, what are the two versions? Mobile and desktop. I think you can say a cloud version of orchestrator and we have a cloud version of orchestrator and on-prem version of orchestrator. When we are saying an on-prem version of orchestrator, it means that we need to install UiPath orchestrator in our local machine or any server, and we need to give access to the complete team. Whereas in cloud server or cloud orchestrator, UiPath is responsible to give access for its resources. All we need to check is how we are going to deploy them into our machines. So we need not install any orchestrator or we need not maintain any orchestrator from our end. We can just consume or use it. Okay, so this came in good. If were you able to understand the difference on-prem orchestrator versus cloud orchestrator? See, dev, production, test, and production, these are the environments. These are not orchestrators. Types of orchestrator. Like in an orchestrator, you can create multiple tenants. And if we have a default tenant, if you see right now, if you log into your orchestrators, we will have default tenant. So instead of default, you can write it as dev or you can make it as prod. Were you able to understand? Give it a thumbs up. Let's see if you are able to understand or not. Okay, Vijay's got it. Only one person got it or what? Okay. Okay. So all the community versions of Orchestrator or the orchestrator that we are using right now are cloud-based orchestrators. Now if you go back and see, so see here there is standalone orchestrator and automation suite. Okay. So there can be questions like, okay, since you worked on 3 orchestrators, then were you a part of migration team? Okay, so the answer for this can be something like this. We had a IT department who managed to do the most work of moving the database and creating a server. Our task was to map the items or map the robots to their jobs and to their machines. Okay, so for this, what we can try to do is try to understand. For example, I'm a person working in IT department. I am working only on upgrading of the machines or upgrading or installing of the UiPath Studio and all. But if I don't or if I am a IT developer, I need not completely check on the server part or on the storage part. So I need not check anything. I just need to concentrate on the solution that I need to bring. Okay, so that is the difference for the IT team as well as the development team. Now, in this particular process or in this particular item, let's go with tenants administrator. On the left side, you have admin, and we have more items, but let's see with admin for now, and then we'll continue. In the admin process, in the tenants, so if you are seeing here, this is default tenant. So tenant settings. So instead of default tenant, can we make it as dev tenant?
Yes.
Okay. So the tenants can be changed or tenants can be used as environments. So if I have one more tenant, it has its own actions, its own process launcher integration services. Okay. But it will not be accessible. Like for example, in this tenant, if you go to orchestrator, if you can see here, we have folders. Okay. Now, if I create a process in one folder, in modern folder, I will not be able to access in workspace. Or if there is any common folder, then I can map or link from the modern folder. So, if any item that I want to check or if I want to pull in any orchestrator item, then remember one thing, the environments like the production, testing and the development will have their own values. They cannot access others' resources. A developer resource access, or if you are maintaining a URL in the production might be different from that of a dev. So you can update or you can use your dev only for development and production only to move the things and to make them run. Okay, you will not have access from one organization or one tenant to other tenant. Here we are seeing with major things. If you can see process assets, queues, triggers, and machines. Let's see with these. I think there is a classic version of orchestrator But if you can say that I haven't worked on the classic version of Orchestrator, I used only the latest version, or after 2019, after 2019 or 20, I started using this Orchestrator, okay, with modern folders. Now let's check with few basic things or few basic activities. First thing is we need to provision machines. How many members have completed connecting your orchestrator to your UiPath Studio? How many of you have did that? What about others? You did not connect your orchestrator with your robot? Okay. Hoping everyone connected their orchestrator with their robots. See, there are three or major things here: home automations, monitoring, queues, assets, storage buckets. We'll see about storage bucket in the end, but the main things that we are going to see is home automations, monitoring, queues, and assets. So let's quickly write them. Yeah. So the first thing is home. First one is home. Second one is automations. Third one is monitoring. Fourth one is queues. Fifth one is assets. Last one is storage buckets. Okay. So in home, we can only check or we can only see all the other items like process, or this is like a dashboard and other links, hyperlinks. Okay. Now in process or in home, we can also have process assets and queues that we have already made over here. So what is the difference between process, jobs, and packages? So now we are in automations. In this automations, again, we have something called process. Sorry, yeah, we have process, jobs, triggers, my packages, blocks. Okay. Now, what is the difference between process, package, and a job? Can anyone tell me in the message box? Difference between process, package, and a job. Come on, team, please reply. If you know, tell you know. If and type in. If you don't know, tell I don't know. That's fine. But tell the answer. Package plus process is equal to sequence of instructions process. Okay. package process, executing process. I think Charan got it right. Executing process is called job. Okay. Okay. So package package is only a code. It doesn't know where to run, where to start, and where to stop. Okay. Now a process is the allocation of a robot to a package. So if I want to run any package or any code, I need to assign some robot, and that robot combination along with the package or the package that we are using is known as process. Job goes the same. The process under execution. So for example, if I have already assigned one process to a particular machine, every execution it started and ended will be treated as one job. Okay. So Charan, I think you are checking on this video because most of the questions that you are asked in the interview are from UiPath Orchestrator, which you are not able to answer. So just quickly check everyone. Please see each and every important point. Okay. So this is job. And what else do we have? Do we have logs and automations, logs, monitoring queues? There are triggers. Okay, here are my triggers. So we have triggers. We'll take this away. So what is a trigger and how should we use a trigger? Because package means what we build in Studio to publish it in the orchestra. Job means the completed process or a process under execution. We say.
Okay.
Now my question is, what are triggers? Please tell me about it. Okay. Just type in your message, whoever knows it. We'll wait for 2 minutes or 1 minute at least. What are they? Scheduling the missions. Okay. Scheduling what? Triggers are conditions, unlike conditions, time triggers. Okay. Okay. So let me give the answer. A trigger is the instruction that we give to a process on when it should start. There are two types of triggers. First one is a time trigger. The second one is a queue trigger. Okay, so this is Q. Okay. So again, in time trigger, so let's go back into the orchestrator. So if you can see triggers, add a new trigger. There are two triggers, time and queue. For time, you need to give the name, process, priority, runtime, where it is running, runtime, and when it should run. Okay, so time trigger. Every time trigger can be scheduled at a particular time to be executed. Okay. The second type of trigger is queue trigger. If we want to start any job whenever a new item gets added to orchestrator, then we will use queue triggers. Okay, so this is the difference. So if I want to run it on an advanced level, so the interview question that came in like this: do you know about trigger? And one of our friend answered like, okay, I know triggers like time trigger, cron expressions, and queue trigger. So that's when he caught that he's not experienced. So what exactly the answer should be is there are two types of triggers: time and uh, time and queue trigger. Even in the time, there are some specific items like I can run it every 2 minutes or hourly basis, every month, and monthly on days and advanced. So what this advanced will do is it will, if we are not able to select any of the item, if we want to create our own custom expression, then we use cron expressions. Okay, so that is cron expression. And with queue item, you can select a queue, associated queue. So if I am looking with this, I need to give a name for it. I need to select which process should execute. Okay, and runtime, what type of runtime it is, and any machine or whatever machine that we have, that we can use, and then we can add and send queue trail at. So this is a queue trail now. So whenever there is a new item in SCM or queue, that's when this process will be triggered or executed. Okay, so in the logs you are going to see, okay, I think it started. There are already items in the queue, I guess. Triggers, let me stop this one, or else it will. Okay, in the logs we can see different logs or multiple messages that came in. We will see that later. But in the overview, we can see what are the transactions that we have and how we executed them. Queues is the best part over here, where we are going to check on or store multiple information. So if you are checking with this one, project one, you are having queues. So API. If I want to add queue, add what happened to this queue. So if you can see here, there is BDQ, DNA locator, queue node, node queue. All these are queues. SCM is also one of the queue. Okay. Now there are multiple assets, and we can either create them or link it from others. So in an organization, you will create any kind of assets for a particular process in that folder only, but you will not access it from other folders. But if there is really a genuine use of one or any other global asset, then you can link them up here from other folders. But for now, there is only one asset, or there is only one place you can create a new asset. So how many types of assets are available in Orchestrator? So this is one more interview question that I heard recently. Come on, go ahead. How many types of queues are how many types of assets do we have? What are they? 4 is correct, Vijay. What are they? Okay, so we have integer, string, boolean, credential. Okay, this is correct. My packages we have assets we need to add. Okay, assets. 4 types: text, integer, boolean, and credential. So if you observe, the first 3 items that we are going to create will give out only one result. So if I create new asset, if I select type, if it is text, boolean, or integer, it will not change anything, it will give one value. But if you go with credential, there are 2 values that you need to give. First one is username and the second one is the password. So why are we, or where are we storing credentials in our process? So the answer can be like this. Where are you storing your credentials? So I'll be storing all my credentials in the assets and in credential where it is secured with 256-bit encryption. So even if someone wants to access it, it will not be accessible and we will have a complete security. Team, were you able to understand? Not able to understand? Okay, so I'll just continue. So we'll check with storage.
There is something like credential manager. So for
Yes,
storing,
yes,
what is
that's
that?
correct. That's correct. It will give me 2 things. One username and the second thing is password. You can access it. Okay.
Like it is, like it is same as assets. So how we need to connect to the credential managers in the Windows?
So in Windows Credential Manager, that is
So actually, if you see in the assets, we go to the config file,
mhm.
and there, so we download these activities of assets and get assets in the studio. So we perform like that, right?
No. So when we store them, there is an activity called get credential. For this activity, for credentials, you have something called get credential activity. And here you need to give input as asset name.
Yeah.
And output will be 2 things. First thing, username, or email. Okay, so this is a string, and password, this is a secure string. So what is the difference between secure string and a string?
It will encrypt the password. It will not show. If you
Sorry,
type the password,
I didn't get you.
It is in the encrypted form. the password is.
Yeah. So you will not be able to check the password or read the password like in the logs. Okay. But for these all activities like input, type asset name, okay, or for the inputs like text, integer, and boolean. So for these items, there will be only one result. So this is either true or false. Okay. So for this one, this will be a number. Here, this is just generic text. Okay. So that's how you need to get the items. But for here, you have get credential activity, right? For all these items, we need get asset activity. This will give me only one output. Okay. Now let's go ahead and try to check or see something. But the best thing that already have happened is UiPath RE framework already has everything that we require. So while you're working with client security hash, I think it asks you to download some password file somewhere from the GitHub. Actually, that's not required. Okay. So robotic process interface framework training. Okay. If we go into data and into config, okay. So by default, there will be in any RE framework, there will be a data folder in which there will be config. So there are three tabs in the config. First one is settings, second one is constants and assets. So assets are for three types. Okay. So integer, if it is integer type, or if it is text or boolean. But if it is credential, you need to mention the name inside settings. I'll tell you the reason. Now in the initiation state, import arguments. So if you can see, we are having one input or two inputs where the settings file is and what are the things that you need to check. But if you observe, there is no assets over here. Okay, it's just settings and constants. So assets will be added by default. Open workflow. So if you can see here, what exactly is happening, we are taking a new dictionary. Okay, and then for every item or for every row or for every item in the config sheets, so what are config sheets here? Settings and the other one. Okay, we need to first read the range. For every item, each row, store the value into the particular items list. Okay, now if you are going with assets, all the assets are good except with credential asset. Okay, so credential asset, you will not be able to get orchestrator asset name and asset value. You cannot get it like this. For that, what we need to use is get credential activity. So activities, get credential. So this is the reason when we are trying to read everything with get asset, this will fail but we will not be able to store username and password. But if you are saving it somewhere where you are using it, then you will be able to complete it. And also what we will do, we will have our passwords, for example ACME test. Okay, so the value is again the orchestrator asset name. The value will be orchestrator asset name, ACME credentials. And I need to paste it in this particular value. So except this part, remaining all the assets you can go from your personal or you can directly create them. Okay, let's take a break. We have last 10 minutes. I would like to close the session early, 10 minutes early. But do you have any queries till now? Whatever we have discussed, do you have any queries? You have all the notes to prepare, everything you have. Just tell me whether you are able to understand it or not.
Can you explain queues trigger? How work it queues trigger?
Will we get queue trigger?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, if we are going with queue, this is the queue trigger. Okay. Now we are in the orchestrator page. We will again discuss on triggers again, but just if you have since you have asked, new trigger queue. So we need to select a queue. For example, let's say that bot DNA locator. So here we need to select which process should be executing and what is the job priority and what is the runtime. So here there is one runtime available and connected. So that is my machine. Okay. So whenever I want to start any robot at a particular new item, whenever it comes in, then buy me a laptop. Sorry. What was I saying? Hello.
Whenever you get an item to be
Executed, then we need
executed.
to start the job, right? So here we will select an item, host machine, any machine. We'll just select laptop, and then if you can see here, add. Now trigger is set up successful. Now bot DNA locator. So where is that locator? If I can go into queues, home, queues, DNA locator. How many items do we have in this? DNA locator, view transactions. There are no new
38
transactions. Sorry.
items. I'm saying that 38 items are there.
No, there are 0 items.
Okay, those are completed items. Okay.
Yes, these are already application exception items or completed items,
Success.
successful items, all these items to be found. Okay, so let's see with bot channel locator. Now if I add any new item, let's see if I can add UiPath. Where is UiPath? Yeah, so I'll just add only one item over here and I will take a new page. Okay, new sequence. Okay, add queue item. So whenever I add a new item, so just give the queue name, that is bots DNA locator. This is the queue name. Okay, I will add one item collection, or I can just add it from here. So this is A and the answer is B. So any random value, just hit it and then execute. So whenever this gets added up, let's see, view transactions. Run file. It should just throw me an error. It's not working.
Okay, I understand. You mean dispatcher trigger manually, performer triggered by quiz, right?
Yes. So whenever a new item is added to a queue, a separate process will start execution. So even dispatcher we will not trigger manually. Maybe we will use it as a time trigger.
Okay, okay.
Okay. So that is the difference. But in
Okay.
time trigger, it will start at one particular time. But as I add this new item to orchestrator queue, a new job will be started to work with this queue. Okay.
Okay.
Let's
And
see. Maybe tomorrow we can see it. So that is the difference between a time trigger and queue trigger. I will stop it now for now. Then let's see it tomorrow. So your task, since you have understood what orchestrator and how things are working on, apply for jobs. Don't wait. Again, I'm saying because it's important. Again, one of our team member have already recorded it and sent it. I'll create a video on how to what are the issues they face and how to solve them. I'll create a video and I'll share it across. But you too should record it and send it. Okay, just just see that. Okay, stopping the screen share.